Hello, and welcome to the American Library Association's Financial Learning Series. Anyone who's been involved with the association for any length of time understands that ALA is a very diverse and complex organization. This is particularly true in the area of finance. Whether you're a longtime member of the association or you've just joined for the first time, understanding ALA's finances can be very challenging. In an effort to minimize this challenge, as well as to provide those with financial responsibility, and specifically those interested in serving on ALA committees, with a better understanding of ALA's fundamental financial concepts, the Budget Analysis and Review Committee, BARC, has prepared a number of finance-based webinars called the Financial Learning Series. These webinars are designed to cover a number of key and basic financial concepts that staff and member leaders deal with on a daily basis in carrying out their responsibilities. Additionally, they will be available for you to access at your convenience, and the submission of questions through ALA Connect are strongly encouraged. The topic of discussion for this session is the Roundtable's financial orientation, which will be presented by Janice Welburn, University Library, Marquette University, Rainer Memorial Libraries. And with that, I'd like to turn the discussion over to Janice.
Thank you for joining us today for this brief orientation to the essential things that you need to know to effectively manage the finances of your roundtable. As Keith mentioned, my name is Janice Welburn, and I'm a member of the Budget Review Committee for ALA, better known as BARC. As we go through this presentation, keep in mind that ALA is a single legal and corporate entity with indivisible assets and a single set of uniform administrative procedures. Yet it is also a complex organization with 11 divisions and 20 roundtables, including the Roundtable Coordinating Assembly. Key to the financial management of each roundtable is the roundtable treasurer or the finance person. The roundtable treasurer is to work within the governance structure of your specific roundtable in conjunction with the ALA staff liaison to create your budget. It is important that the treasurer ensure that there are enough resources to cover your planned expenses and to keep a positive net balance. Roundtable chairs and treasurers should utilize basic budget procedures that employ the same budget practices as ALA and determine the roundtable's budgetary ceiling. The actual operating expenses for the roundtable are driven by income derived from dues, donations, publishing activities, special events, and augmented by fundraising. I will discuss this later. I'd like to take you through 3 critical steps in the roundtable budget approval process. Understanding these steps will be essential to keep the financial condition of the roundtable in good shape. First, using the previous year's budget as a guide, the roundtable board and steering committee work with their ALA staff liaison and submit a budget for the next fiscal year to ALA staff. Second, the ALA staff liaison will take the budget to an appointed BARC liaison. Third, budgets are funded through BARC before being forwarded to F&A Executive Board to be integrated into the overall ALA budget. Lastly, the budget is presented to ALA Council for financial approval. Like other associations and other libraries for that matter, ALA lives by its budget cycle. I want to take a few moments to review the annual budgetary planning calendar. I trust that this will give you an idea of how your work fits into the broader picture, as well as a better sense of the timetable for important budgetary decisions. We begin the budgetary planning calendar in early fall. During the months of September and October, ALA management review the strategic focus of the association. This is a crucial step that links allocation and budgetary decision-making to the association's strategic priorities. This process culminates in the fall executive board meeting, where the executive board and BARC receive, review, and approve final budgetary ceilings for the current year. By November, ALA staff receives their budgetary directives. The executive board and ALA treasurer then brings broad programmatic objectives to ALA council for approval during the midwinter meeting, while BARC continues its responsibilities of monitoring the current budget. It should also be noted that during the midwinter meeting, the president-elect proposes a presidential program budget. In January, ALA staff also start their process of preparing their annual budget, also based on broad programmatic objectives. In the spring, a significant amount of new budgetary work is done. In March and April, budget hearings are held for ALA, its divisions, and roundtables. In April and May, ALA senior management delivers its preliminary budget to the executive board. Following their review, the preliminary budget receives detailed analysis from BARC. ALA staff spends the remainder of May and June updating the budget. During the annual conference, the executive board approves the budget, which is then delivered to council, who approved the budgetary ceiling. Division boards approve their respective budgets. Finally, in August, ALA staff began to prepare the next year's budget along with the association's 3-year financial plan. Another part of understanding the budgetary process that ALA follows has to do with the way that budgets are reviewed and developed. Roundtable boards and steering committees assume responsibility for setting program and funding priorities and analyzing roundtable budget performance. I want to take a moment to talk about the budgetary ceiling calculation. The budget ceiling is something that allows us to keep control of spending. It is uniquely applied to ALA's divisions and roundtables as it actually strengthens budgetary flexibilities. Roundtables can carry over and spend fund balances. It is also important that you have a clear sense of who the ALA management group is, as they have a crucial responsibility in recommending your budget to BARC together with other ALA budgets. you will also want to make you and others aware of how budgetary transfers work in ALA and how ALA endowment was created. It is also advisable to look at budgetary financial information about your roundtable historically, that is, the last 5 to 10 years, to get a feel for ongoing decisions. This will assist you in building a budgetary framework that will limit variance of revenue and expenses within a range of plus or minus 10%. As a roundtable, you'll want to keep revenue and expenses in alignment with one another. In that, year-to-year revenue increases should equal or exceed year-to-year expense increases. Keep in mind that it is a major responsibility of BARC to review financial trends in ALA, ensuring compliance with organizational policy. As such, each roundtable will want to keep the following 7 indicators of financial trends that BARC uses. The first, membership statistics. Second, major sources of revenue. Third, changes in net assets. Fourth, performance results of prior budgets, new ventures which may result in additional risk. 5, additions to staff, programs, or capital equipment which need to be reviewed over a long-term basis. 6, significant changes between years. And finally, reserve levels. Also, as a part of budget planning responsibilities, roundtables will want to be mindful of budget planning alerts. We have identified 6 alerts that signal problems in net asset balances, expenditures, and expenditure increases that outpace income, and a lack of increase in revenue, which are dues, or revenue-generating projects. These are alerts that should be kept on the front burner of the roundtable budget or steering committees and addressed prior to any negative consequences. The alerts identified in the previous slide can correlate to another important issue in the fiscal management of the roundtable, involving a set of discussion points that should be revisited at regular intervals. These involve several key points. How do you balance short-term versus long-term priorities of the association? What is the mechanism or process used to add or delete activities? What do units consider the priorities at the ALA level? How can units provide input in the process? Are reserves levels adequate? A final component of budget planning and the budgetary process has to do with budget reports. These reports are generated each month by ALA financial staff and distributed to roundtable leadership by ALA staff. For the reasons that I have outlined in previous slides, it really is the duty of Roundtable leadership to review these reports as they cover all activity in the account. Spending can be adjusted and errors might be identified through monthly analysis of the reports. Budget reports are also vital to identifying carryover of net asset balances of Roundtable from one fiscal year to the next. ALA also wants its roundtables to maximize analysis of line items which are defined here as funds allocated to cover current fiscal year expenses. So that you can get a broader picture of ALA's financial picture, I want to supplement our discussion thus far, which focused on our operating budget, with a brief overview of endowment funds. ALA's policy 8.5.1 defines the association's endowments, which are overseen by endowment trustees. Our endowments enable us to go beyond the normal work of the association to fund such things as awards and scholarships along with other expenses. On occasion, funds are used to cover a portion of general operating expenses. If you see the possibility of creating an endowment fund for your roundtable, it only takes a minimum of $50,000 to start an endowment. ALA's development office, it should be noted, is available to help you with fundraising initiatives and programs. It should be noted that we have the capacity to raise funds for endowments and current use. If you are thinking about raising funds for either reason, you should direct your questions to the development office and begin to cultivate a relationship with them. You will want to develop your own fundraising or development committee. However, the office can help you with some of the mechanics. Let me give you some of the important contacts that you should know. First, get to know your BARC liaison. As I said at the beginning of the presentation, this is a key person in your budgetary process in translating your needs to the association's management and key committees. Second, get to know the treasurer's webpage, a primary access point for information. Also listed are important contacts that you may find useful as you develop and review your budget. We've also included a quick tips for budgeting that will hopefully provide additional information and serve as a resource sheet for you and members of your roundtable. Lastly, know that you can get additional information through ALA Connect, as well as access the other webinars in the series. Questions can be submitted on ALA Connect. Again, you can find additional information on this webinar and other financial related information on the Treasurer's webpage. Other topics in this financial learning series include budget cycles and process, operating agreements, long-term investments, and organizational structure, roles, and responsibilities.
This concludes our discussion on the ALA Roundtable Financial Orientation. We'd like to close this session, as Janice suggested, by encouraging the viewers of this presentation to complete the survey located on the Treasurer's page. Again, the submission of questions are strongly encouraged. We'd also encourage you to take the opportunity to replay this and other presentations in this series at your convenience and as often as you like. Again, thank you for your participation.